New Zealand have to contend with a rare early exit from a men's World Cup, but they go out on a high and with one of their own, having created an unassailable world record. New Zealand versus Papua New Guinea was one of the last games of the group stage. We revisit that on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricinfo Timeout, powered by Dish TV Watcho with Tom Moody. Thank you, Tom. Always a pleasure having you here with us. Lockie Ferguson, 4 overs, 4 maidens, unthinkable.
Yeah, it is incredible, really. He bowled exceptionally well. Obviously, the pace he bowls and also the conditions that were on offer for the seam bowlers were helpful. But it's hard to sort of get your head around that someone's going to bowl 24 balls and you're not going to score off one of them, even if it's an outside or an inside edge. But he's found himself at the top of the pile when it comes to the best bowling figures in World Cup cricket.
Yeah, and usually every time we see a record, we often forced to ask, do you think this will ever be broken? Well, we finally have one, which till such time that cricket's rules are changed, will not be broken. So well done to Lockie Ferguson. He was the highlight in a sensational pace effort. I mean, it's tough for New Zealand, but in the last 2 games, they have been thoroughly professional against Uganda and Papua New Guinea. Bolt and Saudi too contributing in this one, which was sweet for them.
Yeah, 2 games that they'd expect to win and win comfortably, which is what they did. But in a way, they're probably looking back on their tournament and wishing they played these 2 games first, just to get some sort of momentum in this tournament. It was nearly like their tournament starting now. They've started to get really familiarised with challenging conditions and started to play some decent cricket. But at the end of the day, they came up against a formidable Afghanistan side in their group that New Zealand were swept aside by a brilliant bowling performance from them and then the West Indies. And you have to say that game against the West Indies is probably the real turning point for their exit in this World Cup, in that, they had the opportunity to bowl the West Indies out for under 100. But if it wasn't for a brilliant innings from Shafane Rutherford, they found themselves on the wrong side of that result.
As it turns out, a good outing for Trent Bolt and Tim Southee. So many of these players, we can't be sure whether they will feature. New Zealand's wasn't the youngest side at this World Cup. One of them we know for sure, with Trent Bolt having confirmed that this was his last World Cup outing for New Zealand. In that case, a player who's been so key, such an integral part of a very successful New Zealand side over the past decade. What will you remember the most about Trent Bolt in white ball cricket for New Zealand?
I think the main thing that stands out for me with Trent Bolt is his consistent ability to take wickets in the power play. He's done it for New Zealand. He's done it for any IPL side that he's represented, and he's got this wonderful knack of taking full advantage of the new ball and taking key wickets up front in the power play. I think we also need to tribute, his longevity. Being a fast bowler in all formats of the game for a long period of time is not an easy thing to do. He's been exceptionally resilient with regards to his fitness. He's evolved with the game as well, and he's developed new deliveries to combat the changing game. So he's one of New Zealand's real champion bowlers. There's no question about that.
Yeah, it is after a decade that New Zealand have failed to make at least the semis of a men's World Cup, and Trent Bolt has been pretty much part of that entire journey over the last 10 years. Let's get quick thoughts from you, Tom, on Papua New Guinea. They started the tournament quite impressively, pushed West Indies in the opening game, and we thought this might be a tricky team for some. But in the games they've played since, they've flattered to deceive a bit. The batter's not turning up. What will they learn from this World Cup experience?
Well, I think they'll learn a huge amount. For a start, the sort of the gulf between them and the level that they hope to aspire to in time has been very real for them over the last few weeks. And to get up and taste that, up front and personally is probably the best lesson you can learn. So you can then sort of gauge where you are at from a performance point of view and a skill point of view. There is a gulf between teams like Papua New Guinea and the likes of New Zealand or India or Australia or whoever it may be, and understandably there should be as well, because their infrastructure is still very much at its infant stages. So hopefully this is a bit of a fire starter for them with regards to the growth of their game and their sort of grassroots of their game. So when they find themselves in these tournaments moving forward, we see continual growth and improved performance.
Yeah, I think one of the bigger challenges when it comes to the journeys of teams like Papua New Guinea was well captured in that post-match chat you had with the captain, where when you asked him where next, he himself said, well, I don't know. So we'll hope that Papua New Guinea gets more cricket in the foreseeable future. This is where the tournament bids goodbye to Papua New Guinea and New Zealand. And thank you so much, Tom Moody, for breaking down that game for us.
Introducing the epic new Swift. Time to go swifting.
वॉचो ऐप पे देखो एक OTT के दाम पे सारे OTT शान से।
Watcho.